It's time to explore Skyrim. I'm bringing Kuroshi Cat along with the mod Skyrim Together Reborn. We're able to adventure, fight, dive in dungeons, and all around work together to conquer what Skyrim has to offer.
You picked a bad time to come home to Skyrim, Kinsman. Captain, what should we do? He's not on the list.
Before we can meet up, we have to both complete the opening mission inside of Helgen. This has everything we know and love, including a dragon attack, flaming buildings, watching a little boy nearly get roasted alive, and seeing a bunch of soldiers fight the dragon. I'm ultimately going with Hadvar because I like to steal from his uncle's forge. Once inside the keep, I grab all the basics such as weapons, check for armor, and I check inside chests that are already marked as empty, just in case. I tell Hadvar to wait behind so I may bravely fight these Stormcloaks in combat. Surely my heroic deeds and fierce opponents will get me into Sovngarde. This Stormcloak soldier commemorates our moment with a nice hug in the only third-person cinematic that we'll see in this entire playthrough, because Skyrim Together will obviously not have those cinematics. No Stormcloak is able to withstand any of my R1 spam. Out of power attacks, just keep swinging. Stormcloaks with shields, Stormcloaks with hammers, Stormcloaks with bows all fall to it. And of course, spiders are no match for the spam, nor the mighty bear. What do we have here?
Kuroshi has arrived.
And just like that, we're together, ready to go, and ready to explore Skyrim.
New Imperial uniform. Remove.
Alright, I guess we're doing a Stormcloak playthrough. Shouldn't have picked Hadvar. Oh well, we've got these robes and the hood. How are we looking?
Hood looks good. I will get one.
The cave is caved in, so you can't really go get one. I'll just drop it. There you go.
No hood on ground.
Well, let's try again. Here, let's move down a little bit. Well, I guess it's good that we learn early how this works. There won't be any dropping of items, and there's no way to outright trade with another player. Our first stop will of course be the Standing Stones, which give a nice EXP boost to a third of your skills. No need for stealth or magic, we're both going warrior. Helping Hadvar with some moves should be a good test of our new warrior skit. Or not. Well, I'll claim the pelts. And, I don't know, pick some flowers.
Cat is the hunter, nor is the gatherer.
Tch. Let's take a look at how questing works in Skyrim Together. It's actually pretty straightforward, with a party leader. One person is designated as the leader, and everyone else's quests are managed by them. That means with me as the leader, I'm the one who has to talk to NPCs to start quests, and I'm the one who has to talk to them to turn them in. Interacting with quest objectives and using quest items is also supposed to be done by the leader, and apparently it can get pretty buggy if anyone else tries to talk to NPCs or move quests along. You are going to see that there will be a little bit of bugginess from this, but there is a benefit of only the party leader needing to be present to advance quests. meaning that while I'm talking here, Kuroshi can smith, sell, interact, and rest up in any way to get ready for her adventure. Looking good. The hell? Anyways, I'm going to take advantage of the fact that I left Helgen with Hadvar and borrow some materials from his uncle's forge. I'll start with a nice leather helmet for Kuroshi, and I'll give myself some boots so I'm not barefoot, and make a helmet for myself. Only after I crafted the leather helmet did it dawn on me that I can't trade it. There's no way to interact with other players in any way, so you have to get a little bit creative. Barrel. A barrel will do. Containers can act as nice short-term transfers for items, and apparently it can get a little bit buggy if you try to store something for long-term, but I've got my helmet and my boots, as does Kuroshi. We're ready to go. Before we go questing, let's try out some combat. There's no better place than Embershard Mine, which is just outside of Riverwood, and it acts as a great beginner dungeon. There he is, our first enemy. Get him!
Warrior charge.
A flawless victory. I kinda want to test out to see how well this game syncs with the mod, so we're gonna try to kill Kuroshi. Oh, she knew to back up. The trap's actually a great example of how well synced this mod is. Traps, the environment, objects, and enemies are all synced incredibly well for us. We never saw the other swinging at air. You accept those misses, I guess, but that's just me and not the mod.
This rock will not surrender its secrets to me.
I guess mining doesn't really work, but that's okay. While the combat is synced incredibly well, looting corpses kind of feels off. In our experience, there have been times where one of us won't be able to loot a corpse, and usually once one person loots a corpse, it becomes off limits to the other. Let's also test friendly fire and see if that works before we get into any hairy situations. Alright. What? I can hear that gold being picked up. You want to help?
Clink, clink, clink.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's continue finding more gear so we're ready to go on our actual quest after this. The final room of this nice easy dungeon. Here we're going to see that I forget that I'm playing a mod with another person, which of course means combat's not going to pause at any time. Nothing pauses. So be careful when you go to loot, or open your inventory or level up, because Skyrim doesn't wait around for you now. And since we're looting coins mid-battle, clink clink. I'm glad I could contribute. We return to Riverwood and sell off our excess loot, and buy some new gear. What do we got here? What are you up to, Kuroshi?
Proper armor will be covered in blood.
Hell yeah. With some proper armor, proper weapons, I think we're ready to take on the Golden Claw and head over to Bleak Falls Barrow. What do you got cooked up? Outstanding armor. And if you have any extra leather, you can of course improve it with the workbench over here. I feel like a blacksmith handing out the quests. Up the road to Bleak Falls Barrow, we find our first enemy. I tank, you kill. I tank, you kill. You kill. We learned pretty quickly that it's best to have a couple favorites set and make sure that list isn't too long, because combat doesn't wait now. Speaking of, a couple more bandits just up the road. While combat does feel nice and synced up, it is kind of hard to both get on the same target when it's in cramped quarters, so more often than not, we'd split up and take on targets one-on-one. Now, we can two-on-one. Oh god. Kill him. Kill him. Kill him! Jesus.
You are as much a tank as I am a bird.
Continuing on through the path, there will be another trio of bandits right before the entrance to the temple. Kuroshi did mention that 2 of these bandits weren't holding weapons during the fight, but this was the only instance that we had that in the entire playthrough so far. I'm also beginning to suspect it might not all be on me for missing some of these swings. Or any of these swings.
Sneak attack.
Sneaking is nice and independent, so we're able to get the jump and hit these bandits right away. Moving through the only path possible, we come across our first puzzle room with this nice bandit outlaw who's supposed to throw the lever and die to the puzzle for us. But we want that sweet, sweet EXP. Attacking him before he pulls the lever makes it so no darts shoot out. And as you can see here, my destruction's leveling up without even hitting him. This happens a couple times throughout our playthrough, but we're not really thinking too much of it, especially because it's beneficial. Here in our first puzzle room, we see snake, snake, fish is the correct order, with the middle pillar fallen down. So we set to snake, and then turn for snake, snake, fish. Let's mess around. Go ahead, pull it. It's correct. No, you're good. You're good. In the next room, we have a couple skeevers to mess with. And a little bit of loot around the corner. He's dead. He's dead. I guess there is a third skeever. Cat beats rat, I guess. Just up the dungeon, we'll find our first mini-boss, a giant spider. Normally I would cheese this boss by luring him to the door and hitting him with ranged attacks, but with 2, it's nice and easy. Let's progress the quest. Arvel the Swift here is going to get jacked up, and we're going to take the claw from him. As the party leader, I'll be taking it.
Cannot pass.
Alright. Interesting. Let's see if we can help her out a little bit.
Is open.
Fantastic. Moving through the crypts past Arvel, we find Draugr. It's also at this point I notice I'm not able to power attack. Putting away my weapon and taking it out doesn't seem to really help. Nor does swapping weapons. Thank God I R1 spam anyways. Just be mindful of traps, and be careful of all the two-handers being able to chunk you for some health, and most of these Draugr will be pretty easy. The ones with shields can be a little tanky, but don't do much damage. Eventually, we come across a restless Draugr guarding a door. This guy hits really hard and has a decent amount of health. Luckily, there's a lot of rubble around, which you can kite him around with and mess with his pathing. Like I said, be careful there. Two-handers hit hard. You got this. She didn't have that. Let's run through and help her. As we can see, she's pretty low in the top left. After clearing a waking Draugr, we can either have Kuroshi hide, or retreat back through the axis to safety, while I handle these two right here. Or she'll just come up with low health. Hell yeah. Most of this dungeon is pretty easy, and there's a lot of potions scattered around that you can use. Approaching a puzzle door, we're going to utilize the golden claw that we took off Arvel the Swift's body in the spider room.
Golden cat claw does not work.
I guess party members can try to use the claw, and I can too, but no poison darts are shooting out. If you take a look at the golden claw in your inventory, you'll find the correct solution to the puzzle, which is just changing each ring twice to owl, butterfly, bear. And as we can see, Kuroshi's able to use the claw, even though it's in my inventory. Outstanding and convenient. You gotta love the go-getter attitude. Here we find our first word wall. And we find our first boss, a Draugr Overlord. Don't be scared, he's about as hard as the Restless Draugr before. He hits hard with his two-hander, he has a lot of HP, but you can kite with him and mess him easily by jumping around the steps. And his shout isn't really anything special. Just back up and heal if you need to, and it'll be an easy fight. Yeah, you know you got it from here. Let's go with health. With the dungeon complete, we can head back to Riverwood and turn in the Golden Claw. Now we just need to get down this mountain somehow.
Watch how cats land.
Sure. Good job, cat. Now we can head east. Before we reach Riverwood, we find a cabin.
Pry the hood of her corpse.
Anissa's cabin is a very basic beginner area, and you can either attack her outright or go into her basement, which aggroes her. She has a cool hood, a robe, and a bunch of alchemy ingredients.
Cannot loot.
I'll get that hood for you. Or just a robe with no hood. Now we just have to cross the river, and we'll be back.
She hate water.
Well, I guess cats don't like water, so this is what I have to wait for. Da!
Scree.
Back in Riverwood, we can return the claw and complete the quest, which gives us some gold and the ability to gear up a little bit before heading to Whiterun. It's time to hunt dragons. Halfway between Riverwood and Whiterun, we find our first random encounter. 3 Imperials are escorting a Stormcloak prisoner.
This is none of your concern, citizen.
Oh, big bad guy, huh? Ooh. Well, I think we're going to be joining the Stormcloaks, so screw the Imperials. You know what, let's try to help the guy, see what happens. We could try to give him weapons, but we also just want to see how this interacts with the menu that normally pauses the game when you talk to him. Instant aggro, it's instant aggro, fight, fight, fight. Something to note is that once we joined up on the same server, both of our difficulties were automatically set to Master. So far, that seemed pretty easy with a couple close calls, so we're going to leave it on Master for now, and we might bump it up to Legendary if things are still too easy. So far, so good.
Barrels of mead.
Yeah, I could use some mead. We might as well loot some of the mead just outside the meadery that we can sell for some better gear. It's time for a quest that's just happening out in the wild, the Companions. Farkas seems to be going wild looking at this giant, and nothing's really happening. I'm guessing this is because it's sort of an open world quest and it's bugging out. We'll visit the Companions later, and hopefully things aren't too broken. She found her people. Let's roll. Once inside Whiterun, Kuroshi goes around running for gear, and I beeline for Dragon's Reach. Here I progress dialogue with the Jarl, and run into Irileth and Preventus to try to skip dialogue. It has the added benefit of making them walk around to somewhere. Back it up, Preventus. Back it up. Luckily, because we completed Bleak Falls Barrow, we don't need to wait to progress the quest, and... Hello. That's just normal, I guess. Now we're gonna go fight a dragon, and I think there's more guards than normal? Normally I think there's only 4, but here we have 8. This should help with the fight that we managed to break. I told Kuroshi to run ahead to the guard tower, and she did. I guess because she's not party leader and she reached it first, the quest is kind of broken. The trigger of the guards coming out to tell us to leave happened, but there's no dragon. So it's time to see what happens if we load the game. God help us. Please don't break, please don't break, please don't break. Wait, wait, get away, get away. I guess I deserve this for trying to load in a co-op game. Irileth and the guards aggro to me until I run back to the watchtower, and then they fight the dragon, which is now spawned. With the help of all the guards and Kuroshi, I'm able to valiantly slay the dragon and save the day. Wait! Well, we get to see what death looks like.
I have slayed the dragon.
Fantastic. I just wake up from a nap, and I'm good to suck the soul out of the dragon. Now we go to Solitude. While I'm taking in the sights and moving along all the NPCs in the area, Kuroshi goes out looking for clothing. Free necklace. You're one cool cat. And now that she's done playing fashion scrolls, we can continue on and find a new quest. Jari Ra is the only NPC out giving quests in the middle of the night, and since we can't really advance time, lights out it is. We're gonna go put out the light in the lighthouse, and destroy a boat in the process.
Boat spotted. Murder time.
Calm down there. Wrong boat. But I like the enthusiasm. Once we reach the lighthouse, we simply put it out and return to Jari Ra back in Solitude. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Aim for the bushes. Free gold! Moving along to the wreck of the boat, we find some mud crabs to kill.
Horkar detected. Horkar detected.
Let's take them out. The run to the wreck is basically just killing wildlife along the way, and a little bit of swimming or running and jumping, not too much. We're going to take out these horkers and take their tusks, since they actually sell pretty well early on and can help us buy some pretty good beginner gear. This is what I have to wait for. Whole playthrough. It's going to be this. We find the wreck of the Ice Runner, which has no loot, and it seems a lot of the Imperials and sailors on it have been killed. At the bottom of the boat, we'll find Deja, who's double-crossed us, and moved all the loot to another location. Now it's time to murder.
The loot's already been moved. You've been useful to the Black Bloods, though. You've earned a quick death.
Cat eat lizard.
Alright. The one time she doesn't keep swinging after they're dead. After defeating Deja, the rest of the Black Blood Marauders will turn hostile on us. You can actually just start attacking them before you get onto the boat, starting from the outside, working your way in. It doesn't really matter. The loot will be moved all the same. And pretty similar to the Draugr, these Marauders aren't too scary, but their two-handers can do a decent chunk of damage. There's also a couple of them outside, but there's also slaughterfish who like to spawn outside. And the Marauders will usually aggro to these slaughterfish and lose the battle inside the water, which is pretty helpful. Besides the two-handers, there is a mage who's at the beginning of the boat, as well as one who's outside. With the Marauders dead, we can read a note that was on Deja's body, which marks Broken Ore Grotto as our next location to go to. Moving further north, I look around and see that we have to go through the water.
No.
Get in the water.
Wet bed.
After a little bit of swimming and running up the coast, we finally reach Broken Ore Grotto and are ready to go confront Jare Ri inside. No honor among thieves, really. Inside, we'll find a couple more Black Blood Marauders, and I gotta double check friendly fire,
Don't cook Karoshi.
and we're good. Kuroshi mentioned she wasn't able to put away her arrow. I imagine it's similar to the bug of where I didn't get power swings, no real big deal. At the top of this ramp, we find food.
Cheeser, please.
Go ahead, cat. Take your cheese. I get the Horker loaves. An excellent stealth archer approach of missing 2 shots leads to a third that this guy's somehow still unaware of. Nice accuracy, as I miss the point-blank flames. Moving along, we'll find a drawbridge we can lower and reach a little bedroom with 2 Marauders. One is standing inside of oil, and the other's sleeping, so he's pretty slow to get up. Looking through, there's a nice chest with some gold in it, and I'll take the sweet roll and give it to Kuroshi later, as a reward. There's a lot of barrels and chests kind of throughout this dungeon, so be sure to go through and find them because there's lots of good and useful potions. Jesus Christ! Thought she was hostile. Instead, a real hostile. There will be a single marauder with an arrow overlooking this boat fortress, and they can fall into the water pretty frequently. It's a good idea to clean them up before they fall in, since they can be a hassle to kill when they're swimming around. By standing near the ledge, I've aggroed everybody. As long as they file in, one at a time like this, we'll be good to go. Run, 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 run. Most of the marauders are pretty easy to kill and can hit kinda hard with their two-handers, but Captain Hargar here is where the brutal pain really comes into play. He can usually two-shot you, even if you're well armored, and he has a ton of health. So it's time to cheese. Having Hargar aggroed to me, I'll slowly burn him and jump into the water to mess with him. He doesn't know where to go. Only some of the marauders have ranged attacks, so if you really need to ever, you can always do this tactic. Just be careful he doesn't get a quick swing on you.
I have brought the lizard.
Excellent. Kuroshi's wrangled up Jarre and brought him over. You'll notice he's the quest objective, and the quest actually completes when you kill him, and there's no loot really marked. Alright, Kuroshi. The cheese is to jump in the water. Hargar hits pretty hard and you don't have enough health. Jump in the water. Jump in the water. With Jarre dead, I leave Kuroshi to 1v1 the most powerful enemy that we face tonight, as I go loot some minor gear off of Jarre. Given the lack of real estate to fight on, we make the plan for Kuroshi to run and fight the rest of the ads, while I take Hargar on. If you ever need a quick respite, you can utilize the drawbridge levers to try to break up the enemies so they have to run around. They're not smart enough to pull the levers themselves. With Hargar expertly kited, I cheese. Once Hargar's down, be sure to run over and loot his body for a key for his personal chest, as well as anything else you might need. Heading back to the fort to help Kuroshi clean up the rest of the ads, there will be a couple of marauders with bows, and not much else. Up in Jarre's bedroom, we'll find the chest of the Ice Runner, as well as a bunch of loose loot. What a fantastic new bow. Kuroshi reads Hargar's journal to find that he's hidden his chest inside the sunken ship, which isn't too well hidden. So we're going to jump in and use his key to unlock it. Come on down, Kuroshi. Did you just die?
You told me to jump.
Well, in celebration of our first 2 days of Skyrim being survived, I present Kuroshi with her sweet roll. Alright. Well, the beginning of the adventure's over, but the grand exploration of Skyrim is still to come.